When you burst out of the gate, gaining more space with each stride, creating more distance between you and your closest competitor, powering forward, accelerating, manufacturing increasing speed, there's almost nothing that can stop you. Injuries can slow you down. Fatigue can pull your opponent's level. Distractions may even trip you up, but when you reach the home stretch, that's when you've got to dig the deepest. Your focus is on you, on your mechanics, on your experience, on your desire. Whether in their backyard or in front of your hometown fans, it doesn't matter. The goal's the same and you will get there. Now the finish line's in sight, and that final kick will push you right through the last few yards and alongside a legion of Raptor Red into the NBA playoffs.
Just getting word that Kyle Lowry, inactive today, will not play against the New York Knicks. That back contusion. You want everybody healthy, firing on all cylinders going into the playoffs. I mean, it's not like the playoffs are next week, but you can't flip a switch.
Honestly, I've been a little perturbed by some of the comments players make saying, well, you know, we know what we got to do, and we'll just flip the switch. No, that's not happening. There's very, very few teams that can do it, and if the Raptors fool themselves into thinking they're one of the teams that can, it's going to be a short playoff run.
But I think in one word, what they're trying to find, and it needs to start today, is consistency.
Now, the last time they took on the New York Knicks, I mean, February 20th, not a good night at the Garden for the Toronto Raptors.
No, there's a revenge factor, but I don't particularly think in this one. Right now, Toronto just wants to get back on track. They've got bigger fish to fry. They know they're going to the playoffs, but they've got to start playing better, more consistently. So to beat the Knicks would be nice because they were embarrassed that day, but Kyle Lowry didn't play that game. But at the same time, they're thinking of other bigger things than beating the Knicks right now.
When you're a Hall of Famer like myself, every game is the same. Whether it's an elite team or a lower echelon team, you got to get up and play your best. So the problem I find when you start trying to play up or down to the competition, that's when you become erratic. So if you look at the superstars in the league, they're always very consistent. They always play well, and the same with the elite teams.
Last year, they were really good, and one of the main reasons is they played with a hunger every single night. It's not there from last year. It's not the same, and they're a good team, but they don't have an overabundance of talent where they can't have a night where they're not outworking their opponent, because that's what put them over the top last year. They just played harder on most nights and had more hunger. And I know that's simplistic, but I don't see that as much. And they need to get that back because they're still a really good team. Dwayne Casey, I think, is an excellent coach. Kyle Lowry is just a bulldog. He's such a good leader, but they need to have that hunger mentality that they had last year.
Today they're gonna come out really hard. It's gonna be an extremely hard game. They're on their own floor. The Raptors are a very good team, so it's gonna be extremely hard for us. We're on the road. We gotta have a perfect game just to have a chance to win.
Historically, Larkin has had a tough time with Williams.
Williams shoots it way too early, but comes flying in is DeRozan for the jam.
The master blaster by the 6'7" DeRozan.
Nice feed inside. Andrew mishandled it at first, then Portadena draws the foul.
Johnson's holding on to it, trying to get an opening, and he does. So you got to stop the ball. Knicks never stopped it. Slick play by Johnson.
Andrew nearly slips, but gathers himself, goes in, and it looks simply not putting a body on anybody defensively.
Hasbro distinguishing himself on both ends of the court now.
Johnson looking for his offense. Reverse shot is good, and a foul. Raptors getting to the rim easy and often, and the lead is ballooned to 15. Patterson inside, nice entry pass. And Valanciunas throws it down as he equals the largest lead of the game. As the Raptors have put this one away, now back up by 18 with 3.5 to play.
Raptors win 106-89, and to me, forget about the 106. The 89, they kept the Knicks to below their season average of 92. Raptors come away with a victory. They take the season series 3-1, and they also earn their 42nd win of the season.
You know, guys battling, staying with the game plan, just to focus more than anything else. The intensity that we played at on the defensive end was good, and just again continue to get better. More so than the win. The win's important, but just seeing that there wasn't, you know, we had a few lapses, but overall it was good intensity and good focus on both ends of the floor.
I just think they're going up against a good defensive team that closes out on shooters. You know, it's not that they're not a good shooting team. You know, this is a high-scoring team. They've got probably one of the best backcourts in the NBA. Sometimes, you know, styles make fights and matchups favor certain teams, and the Bulls are one of the best at guarding the three-point line, and I think that's the reason why they've had success this year.
And the backcourts combined for 39 points, and a turnover there with 1:21 to go, and it's slipping away. Slipping away for the Toronto Raptors. They carried a lead here into the fourth. 112-103, Jack. It appears as though the Chicago Bulls are going to sweep the season series against the Toronto Raptors and improve to 44-29. The Raptors will fall to 42-30.
I would say, to me, I've said this many times before, the two teams I don't want to see early in the playoffs for Toronto are this team right here, the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers. So if you could play Washington, Milwaukee, somebody who's on Milwaukee's back, whoever that might be, that could change on a daily basis. Let me have those teams in the first round, and I'll take my chances from there.
Raptors are going to fall, Jack, to 13-22 against teams above 500. And they fall tonight by 13, 116, 103.
Against these guys, the way they score the ball, they score it so easily that if you let your guard down, and we dodged the bullet because they got their confidence early, and you know, they can score 10 points in a minute very easily. So even when you have a lead, it never feels safe.
Yeah, I was wearing a white shirt, my white practice shirt, so he thought that I was a Toronto Raptor. Unfortunately, there's nobody with a bun, with long hair and a beard and a bun on the Toronto Raptors. Go Bulls.
What's up, kids? Y'all all right? Everybody doing good?
DeMar is really one of a handful of professional athletes in this country that really resonates with kids everywhere. You know, there's so many young kids playing basketball now who look up to him as a star, and to have him talk about reading as a part of their lives is fundamentally just one of the best things that can happen.
Like always, it's always great just to come out here, see all the kids' faces, see the parents. You know, this definitely means a lot for me, especially me having a daughter of my own, be able to raise and give her the opportunity to be able to read, you know, books, and, you know, the same as I try to give to the youth now, because it's definitely important for you guys to really open up your imagination and, you know, educate yourself at an early age and, you know, see the bigger picture out there in the world. And it all happens from reading books, expanding your mind, learning something new every single day. And, you know, that's one thing I'll try to express, you know, just try to get as many books out there as possible, because I know what it's like not to have the right resources that we may need. And, you know, I'm just trying to be helpful as possible as I can. And, you know, I'm glad everybody got a chance to come out today. I think initially it developed my second year. We just started to put a book club together, and, you know, we did a year in and year out, and, you know, slowly started getting bigger. In the past 2 years, you know, with a couple of my guys, we just reached out and tried to make it bigger, get a lot of sponsors behind it, and really push it and get as much help as we can to reach out as many schools and kids as we can. So, lately, lately, we're just trying to build on it, because at the end of the day, it's all about these kids. The way I grew up, it was tough, and as time went on, and I became more of a, an eye people could look up to being here in Toronto. I just try to take it upon myself. Why not try to do something that'll give back that I might not have had when I was young, and all stem from there, and and the passion for it has grew even more now that I have my daughter. Say hi. Cameras. I'll read to her every night. Every night, if it's something she's looking at, I try to read it so she can understand. Just so she can find enjoyment in it early. Because I think once she find enjoyment while she's young, like now, she'll be doing it on her own. I would just want to say thank you to everybody who's coming out today, and continue reading your books, expand your mind, take you a long way.
I'm very happy and proud to announce that Toronto will become a member of the NBA for the 1995-96 season.
To be honest with you, did I think we could sell out every night like this team pretty much is going to be doing? Did I think we'd be able to draw, sometimes TV audiences that may be stronger than NHL hockey? Probably not. That's the stuff that gets you really excited, is when you see the TV ratings the way they are now, when you see every March Madness game on television in Canada. Now the sport's just firmly established forever.
For all of us, particularly John, who was a true visionary in terms of understanding and seeing what basketball could do and be in this country, and having the foresight to make sure that we planted the seeds, marketed to the youth, and one day they would grow, and you would have trees and they would bear fruit. And that's what's happened.
You realize that what's happening now, especially like last night I was watching the NCAA, we got 105 kids playing. We've had the top 2 draft picks. The Raptors are going to make the playoffs for their 7th season. It's all stuff that you think back on how people wondered whether basketball could even make it in Toronto or come to Canada, and we're firmly part of the fabric of this country. That you just feel proud, you feel great. Everything you've given to basketball and the NBA over the time, and there's a lot of work to be done here in Toronto. We couldn't be happier with a better guy.
Thanks, John. I really appreciate it. I'll make you proud.
What I was trying to do was make sure we would have an identity that was a little bit different. There was lots of what I would call older guys that wanted to come to Toronto. Isaiah brought a freshness, a bit of a win-at-all-cost attitude that I knew we had to have. We were up against hockey, and the Blue Jays had just come off, back-to-back World Series, and we had to make our own identity. So picking someone that was, a regular name and an old guy who everyone had seen for 30, 40 years, I thought was just, going to blend into the mix. And I thought he did a great job of helping establish our identity as fighters and, a team that was going to try hard. Now, we've had our ups and downs over 20 years, but I think for the most part, the identity of the team and the scrappiness of the team and everything else goes back from our early days.
I remember knocking on doors, literally, when I first got here, just saying, hey, we got this basketball thing that I think you might really like. I remember going on every radio show and just trying to sell it. And people gave us a chance, and people gave it an opportunity. And we always thought that this is what it could eventually turn out to be. And we were so far ahead in terms of the way we were thinking. But we knew that once they got a taste of basketball here in this country, we knew that they would love it, and it's been great.
Please welcome the starters for your Toronto
Raptors! Rogers gives to Alvin Robertson, back to Carlos, look out! Oh, Carlos Rogers.
I remember the night we beat the Chicago Bulls here. I think they lost. That was the year I think they won 10 games, and we beat them once here at Skydome.
Kerr, 5 seconds. Pippen will have to let it go. 3. Steve Kerr. No.
And I remember Kerr shooting the last shot that missed. Jordan grabbed it on the right side of the court. I was standing in the tunnel, and all I said was, "Oh no, he's gonna make it." And that joker turned around and banked it off the glass, but time had expired, and the Raptors beat the Bulls. It was a great night, and I can't thank Damon Stoudemire enough for coming and laying the foundation with his hard work. So it was great times.
What gets me the most is when I was a kid, there was one other guy and I who had 2 basketball hoops in our whole neighborhood. And now there isn't a street in Canada you can't go on, and there aren't basketball nets. And in my mind, that is probably the most emotional part in terms of what the Raptors have meant to this country, and particularly the GTA, is just how strong the sport is.
For those who were with us at the beginning, it was a hard walk. It was a hard struggle to get to this day. And again, there was 2 franchises that started in Canada, and they were the first 2 international franchises, the 2 experiments. One failed and one succeeded, and it's only because of the fan support, the media support, the people support that we had here.
20th anniversary night. And John Bitov and Isaiah Thomas, of course. And if it wasn't for this group of men, maybe the NBA would not be here in Toronto. Working with Amir, inside screen and roll. James Johnson unable to finish, and Lynn comes away with it. Numbers now for the Lakers. 3-on-2. James Johnson hustles back. And then filling up on the inside.
Well, you're watching them struggle down the stretch without their best player. So we have to keep that in mind, that, you know, Lowry brings so much to the table defensively and offensively. So you expect them to struggle without him, but you still want to win without him. And going into the playoffs, these next, 10 to 12 games, however many they have left, it's important that they get rhythm. It's important that they get confidence, because their first round matchup is going to be a tough one.
Here's Davis, and a turnover. James Johnson now drives right at Zachary.
When I think of this team, I always think of them as my baby, and they'll always, in terms of be part of the heart and emotionally tied to what they do. And it's exciting where they're at right now. I wish they were playing a little better right now, but hopefully by the time we get to the playoffs, they'll be able to take, really compete for the Eastern Championship.
And the Toronto Raptors are going to come away with a victory, and they will clinch their second consecutive Atlantic Division title and improve to 43-30.
I think I said last game, all we need is something that get us back going and put us back in the right mood. And just knowing we clinched the division, our division again, this could be the thing that could push us over the hump and give us what we need again and get our swag back. That's all it is. And once we get back on track, we're gonna be right where we left off at.
If this team doesn't perform well in the playoffs, then I don't think the Atlantic Division title is going to mean as much. So it's about playoff performances at this point right now.
Well, look, they've moved to a different level, the Raptors. Are now a team that's being judged by the postseason.
Which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing. That is the next step, Sherm. It's not, are we going to get in? Do you think we could get the 6th seed or the 7th seed? You're in.
Yeah.
Now people are saying, now that you're in, what are you doing when you get there? When you're in, now you're being judged on what happens after the season. And tonight, Sherm, they're going to have a real test against James Harden and the Houston Rockets.
That's an understatement.
The Toronto Raptors trying to even the season series against the Houston Rockets as a loss in Houston 98-76. Dwayne Casey and the Toronto Raptors have clinched the Atlantic Division title for 2 consecutive seasons for the first time in the franchise history. Reason trying to take that feeling away. It's a 1-point Rocket lead.
Nice little play out of the timeout. They go dribble handoff, and obviously the defense goes to the guy getting the handoff. The guy who gave the handoff, wide open.
Houston's 1-pointer roll, spin move, DeRozan takes contact and he finishes. What a sweet move by DeMar. 97-96, he just tied his career high. Jump ball, back tap here. Raptors by 1, 41.9 seconds left. Capped up, Ross controls it. Playoff-like atmosphere here tonight, huh, Jack?
Well, the Raptors needed a game like this. Good test for them.
So DeRozan out high, Harden on him. Under 10 seconds on the shot clock. DeRozan. Jumper, good! New career high, and the Raptors lead by 3 as he nails a J over top Harden. James Johnson saying to DeRozan, don't switch with me. I'm staying on Harden. Deflected by Ross. Here's Ariza. He's going to fire away. It doesn't go. Scooped up. One last chance. Ariza, no! And the Raptors win 99-96. Toronto comes away with the victory. Their second consecutive victory, ending a 4-game winning streak of the Raptors. The first time that the Raptors have defeated a +500 team since February 20th, and DeMar DeRozan a career-high 42.
If a team ever needed a huge performance by its star, they needed it tonight. And I tell you what, that man delivered.
Well, we had our opportunities. We just didn't get the job done. There was loose balls we didn't get. Some offensive rebounds that hurt us. Couldn't get a couple stops, key stops when we needed it, and never really got into a great flow tonight. And couldn't stop DeRozan.
Tough shot, contested shot. You got it going. When you got it going like that, those shots are gonna fall. In this league, man, when you get a good rhythm and you get a good feel, any player can get going. Prime example was tonight.